everyone, it's Nina. Thanks so much for joining me today for a new tutorial. And today I'm very excited to be sharing some inspiration with you using the new Simon Says stamp card kit, Snow Much. In the kit are some really cool and fun products that you can use to make winter themed cards. And I'm going to be using the Twirling Skater die, which I designed for the kit, as the primary focus of my card. So here's the die, and I'm going to cut her out from some watercolor paper. The cool thing about this die is that she cuts out as a silhouette, so you can use her as is, or you can add details to her with a coloring medium. Once I cut her out, I'm going to do just that. I'm going to pull in some Prima watercolors, and I'm going to start watercoloring in the details of this girl. When I designed the die, I made sure to include some embossed lines. Those embossed lines can not only create detail for when you're using her as a silhouette, but when you color her in, it also gives you a good guideline for where certain areas might have some folds in the fabric of maybe her dress or her scarf. And it also just helps you when you're going to add that coloring and shading, kind of gives you a little bit of a guide of where you want to place certain things. As I colored the image, I made sure to use some very small detail brushes. I used a number 2 and a number 4 brush throughout the coloring here. Those brushes are sized really nicely. These are round brushes, and it really helps you get into small areas very easily, and you don't have to worry about having to be super careful because those tips of the brushes are already small. I'm using a lot of wet on wet technique. Once I add down the first layer, I add a little bit of water to blend it out, but then I come back in with a more intense variation of that same color. That lets me add some shading where I don't have to blend it out a whole lot. I like having those somewhat harder edges, and giving this a lot of neat contrast makes this image come to life. I'm holding on to the girl as I color just because I don't want her to shift, but if you didn't want to hold on to it, you could tape her down to a hardboard or some sort of surface and use some tape on the back so that way she doesn't move around. I was okay with working on this image just by holding on to her, but if you don't feel comfortable with that, just make sure you just attach her down to something so she doesn't shift as you color. Now the other thing I did was, as I worked on this image, I bounced around between different places because I didn't want to bleed any of the other coloring that I'm adding elsewhere. So once I added coloring in one spot, I went to an opposite area and added coloring in a different area, just so I didn't blend the colors together. Once I did all the coloring, I brought in a few Prismacolor colored pencils. You can use any pencils you have in your stash. And I added a little bit of extra detail with those pencils. The pencils have a really detailed fine point, of course, especially if you sharpen them. And that allows me to get into those really tiny areas and add the fine details like on her face very easily. To further enhance her face, I added some black pen details for her eyes and mouth, and I highlighted her eyes with a little bit of a white gel pen. I also added little bits of dots to her cheeks just to give her some cuteness. When I colored the dress with the pencils, I made sure to create some flicks of pencil strokes, kind of following that embossed line that I added into her dress. This is showing some movement. It's showing that she's kind of twirling and having some fun on this ice. And by following that guide from the embossed line, that really helps make that design flow. Now I also took some of the pretty pattern papers from the kit. I stamped a sentiment from the Snow Much stamp set that's included in the kit, and I cut that down with a neat and tangled scalloped frame die. I popped my girl up off of the card, and you can see that this is creating a really cute scene already. I'll further enhance that scene by adding a little bit of a sloped edge to be some snow, and I used some white glitter paper to cut that out with. There's some lawn trimmings twined across the top, and I added a supporting sentiment onto the card as well, which is also from that Snow Much stamp set. Now speaking of the Snow Much kit, there's some really cute little pom-poms included in this kit. And I thought it would be so much fun to have the pom-poms serve as snow falling from the sky. These are small pom-poms, but they look so big on the card, and it really makes this scene come to life because these snowflakes look so big. And I further enhanced that effect by bringing in some white Nuvo drops. I added smaller dots, making sure to not make them as big as the snowballs from the pom-poms, And this really gives a lot of depth to the scene. It makes it really full and really snowy looking, and it just really brings everything to life. I wanted to also add a little bit more glitter effects. So I brought in this Moxie glitter glue. It's a really great chunky glitter glue. Very beautiful color, and it matched really nicely with the glitter cardstock that I used for the snow. It makes the snow look a little bit more dimensional, so I wanted to make sure I added that to give this scene a little bit more detail. As you can see, this card came together very easily and quickly, and I really love how this scene just brings the winter fun to life. This whole entire kit is filled with so many fun winter products, and I think you will enjoy using it as much as I did. And before I go, I also wanted to share that I designed a special stamp set called Winter Hugs. This stamp set is an add-on to the kit. You cannot get it in the kit, but you can purchase it separately. And I designed it so that it coordinated with the contents of the kit and with the other stamp set that's in the kit called Snow Much. So this Winter Hug set you can find over at Simon Says Stamp, and again, it is available for individual purchase. So you can't get it in the kit, but if you get it with the kit, it will complement your kit contents so well, and it will give you a lot more possibilities with winter card creating. So I hope you enjoy this stamp set. If you want to see more details on the card that I created, be sure to head on over to my blog. I have links down below in the video description or on screen now. Thanks for tuning in. I will be back again with more to share, but until next time, I hope you have a great day. Bye!